Episode 259. In a coma for 4 days. Serena knew she was right. How could you avoid an assassination in the dark? A gun in the daylight was easy to hide from, and a dark arrow was hard to prevent. It was Michael Cox who was unpredictable. It was not Jackson's fault. Neither was it Jake's. It was her fault. From the beginning, she had been the variable in all this. If it weren't for her, everything would be fine. Jake would lead the Robinson group and would go on to become a legend. The Cox family would never go bankrupt and would be on good terms with everyone. Jake would not be opposed, and everything would go on as it did in her previous lifetime. After sending a grieving Jackson home, she also bid goodbye to Drake and Henry. Serena was exhausted and wanted to go to bed. I really want to dream. Mr. Robinson, will you come to my dreams? I want to see you. Lying in bed with her eyes closed, Serena felt tired. In her mind, Jake's handsome and pale face appeared. He was lying on the ground, weakly, but his eyes were locked on her. They had 1,000,000 stars in them, breathtakingly pretty. I love you forever. I love you too forever. Life would only be perfect if it was pieced together by countless regrets. If one had never been desperate, one would not know how precious happiness was. This was the first time Serena had had such a dream. She dreamed that she was standing in the clouds, watching Lila Cox as proud as a peacock. Standing next to the small, clear lake, hundreds of feet away from the old house. She looked at the struggling, drowning woman with cold eyes. After God knows how long, the woman in the water stopped struggling. Lila sneered and turned around, but she ran into a tall and straight figure. Jake looked at her coldly, his face grim. Wearing a dark gray casual coat, he put his hands in the pockets and looked at her quietly. Lila's expression changed dramatically. She was busy trying to explain it, but Jake did not pay attention to her. He walked step by step into the clear lake. The wind in the winter night was freezing. Jake stepped into the lake, took off his coat, plunged in, and picked up the woman who had already drowned and died. Serena was soaked, her face full of horror. Jake put her body on the lakeside immediately and started doing first aid. Lila watched him, her face pale and colorless. Serena did not make it. Jake gently closed her eyes and looked at Lila. Police cars came around, blocking the roads from side to side. Her hair was still dripping with water. Looking into Lila's eyes, his gaze was colder than the lake water. He said, "You have disappointed me." And what next? Lila Cox was imprisoned. Her father, Michael Cox, was found to be linked to the drug trafficking group, and the Cox group collapsed. Charlie was suspected of drug trafficking and was sentenced to death. However, the real drug dealer, Anna Wrong, went away with Alan and continued to sing the song of crime. Jake never married again for the rest of his life. After many years, Jake accepted a TV interview. The host asked him the legend Jake Robinson, who was now in his early 40s, but looked like he was in his early 30s. "Mr. Robinson, why are you not married? We all thought you'd end up together with Miss Cox. But she went to jail. Are you unmarried now because of Miss Cox?" Jake shook his head. His expression was calm and infinite wisdom shone in his eyes, which had seen a great deal in more than 40 years. His eyes became soft as he said, "When I was 26 years old, I had married once. My wife's name is Serena." "Where is she?" "She died." "Do you love her?" Jake's eyes became deeper, but he did not speak. Love. Deep love. In another parallel time and space. There was a Jake who loved another Serena. Very, very much. Serena woke up at the familiar ringtone. When she opened her eyes, it was daytime. The alarm showed it was past 8 a.m. She answered the call, which was from Miranda. Why was she calling? She picked up. Hello? Madam, I know you must feel terrible right now, but this could not wait. Could you come to the company at 2 p.m.? Company. His company. Right. Now that Jake was gone, his company was not being managed. The Robinson Group must be a mess now. She forgot about that. Sitting up, she listened to Miranda. Yes. After the news about him got out, the stock price of the Robinson Group has hit a record low. The shareholders are in a rush to vote for a new CEO. Since Mr. Robinson has 55.3% of the shares, and you are the first in succession, I hoped you could show up at the shareholders meeting in the company. Can you do that? Miranda had no idea that someone as great as Jake would suddenly pass away. These days, she had been crying so hard that she thought she was going blind. Having followed her boss for so many years, in all fairness, Jake not only valued her, but also treated her well. Miranda looked up to him. He was a leader, and she respected him a lot. She remembered the innocent crush she had on him when she was just hired. From there to now, her bond with Jake had only grown stronger, and she really respected him and learned a great deal from him. Losing him was a blow, something unexpected, and she did not know how to deal with it. What was she supposed to do if Boss wasn't here? However, she still had a life to live and a job to do. In the days when he was not there, many things were shouldered by her alone. After all, her prestige was only second to him in the company, but this would not be a long-term solution. In just a few days, many shareholders were already desperately trying to choose a new president, and some even said that they would sell their shares and be gone. To hell with the Robinson Group. Jake had started the company from scratch, which took him a lot of effort. No matter what, Miranda could not let the company be destroyed. However, no matter how powerful she was only but an assistant. She knew she needed Serena to see this through. Okay, I'll go there in the afternoon. We'll wait for you. Hanging up the phone, Serena came out after washing, and then saw several missed calls. The number was unknown. Would it be Charlie? He seemed to have been seriously injured that day, and she didn't know how he was. Serena called back, and it was picked up soon, but for a few seconds no one spoke first. After a long while, she heard, "Serena?" A female voice spoke. It was Camilla. "Is there something you need?" Camilla paused and said, "Charlie was seriously injured, and the skin on his whole body is severely burned. He was unconscious all this while. Now he just woke up." After a pause, she added, "He was in a coma for 4 days." Severe burn. Coma for 4 days. Although Serena did not have much affection for her biological father, hearing such words still made her quite upset. "He wants to see you." Camilla's voice was low, testing her. Serena heard that clearly. What was she doing? Was she afraid she would refuse?